photographer. Let's go to Mr. Raghavan, known as Rags, is a prolific Chennai-based photographer known for his work in several genres: portraiture, nature, and wildlife, sports, macro. He presently focuses on street and travel photography. His photographs reflect empathy and sympathy for the common man, a creative eye, and mastery over technology. Born in Chennai, Raghavan became an air conditioning engineer and worked in the Middle East for 7 years. On return to Chennai, he ran his own business and was a dealer for Hitachi air conditioners for some time. His photography journey began at the age of 8 with a box camera. He has come a long way since. Nikon is his favorite camera. He has taken thousands of photographs of Chennai. He has a multitude of interests. He is a guitarist and singer who has played with stage bands. He is an artist, a bird watcher, a sports lover, a dog lover, a motorbiking, and a gardening enthusiast. Wow. He was on the board of trustees of the Chennai Snake Park for 22 years, a member of the Chennai Rifle Club since 1985. Mr. Raghavan will tell us today about his photography career and his work in painting the colors of Chennai. Over to you, Mr. Raghavan. Thank you.
You're muted. You're muted, sir. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Mr. Suresh. As the introduction said, I wear many hats and try to excel in all of them. Photography is one of those building blocks that makes me up. I'm a musician, I'm a guitarist, and so on and so forth. I'm also a very keen DIY handyman. I have my own putter at home where I do general home repairs. I do all of this myself. I don't depend on the average electrician, plumber or electrician to come home. There's so many things I do at home myself. I like the intro said. I also, along with shooting with the camera, I shoot with a firearm. I won bronze medals twice, Tamil Nadu State Shooting Championships in the year 2000 and the year 2004, in 2 different disciplines, one in air rifle, the other is in firearm. I am a senior member of the Chennai Rifle Club since 1985, I think. But then photography is something which I can go around, I can share my my prowess or whatever I'm good at. It's like, sing. If I play the guitar and sing, I can sing to a few people. But photography has got a much wider reach. And at this juncture, I should say I am not a professional. I'm an advanced amateur photographer. And by that, I mean that every day, like all of us, today we all learned something which we did not know yesterday. And that cycle goes on. So I can never turn around and say I know everything. I'm not a pro. I am a semi-pro. So somebody once asked me, what do you mean by semi-pro? And I said, I take professional quality pictures, but don't get paid for it. This is what I call myself as a hobbyist. Yes, I've done a few assignments for people and brings in some money here and there, but that's not my bread and butter. So today's session is not really intended to showcase my work. It is for all of us. The pictures I'm going to show are the kind of pictures all of you on this forum will be seeing on a day-to-day basis and appreciating what you're seeing. Except I went the extra mile to take a picture of that. So it's no big deal. What I'm going to showcase here is all standard views which we all see on a daily basis. Except every picture I share will have a little story attached to it, which should exemplify the reason why I shot that picture or why that particular picture resonates with me so well. So I shall share my screen now. Please hold on, sir. Almost there. Right, now I go here and increase the one second, sir. I have to
You have to go to the bottom and make into a slideshow.
1 second. Yeah. So this is called, I call this Madras my forever city, simply because I was born here. I'm sure many of you here are Madrasized, Madras, Chennai, or Madrasis or whatever you call it. I was born here in Madras and have the distinction of growing up in this gracious city. And I much enjoy being a part of this city as it unfolded over the years. Now, living in Madras itself is great fun, except for those 2-3 months in summer when I wish I was living somewhere else. But when somebody asked me, is Madras is so hot, Chennai is so hot, I said, my answer to that is, Chennai may be hot, but nowhere else in the world will you appreciate air conditioning better than in Chennai. So this is my opening slide. It's a very symbolic picture. It's taken during one of those Teppam festivals, at Mylapore. Those streaks of light you see is a very, very age-old technique. It's called zooming while taking a picture, and it's an old trick, and we used to do it in the film days, but today it's all the more carries impact because you can immediately see what your picture looks like, right? So let's move on. A large portion of the, I should be having some 30 or 35 slides. Each of them will carry a little story to it. A large portion of this picture, my pictures are taken near the sea, mainly because I'm a little biased. I live in Thiruvanmiyur near the beach. So I call this picture just another day at the office, right? Now, if you look at a Chennai emblem or a Madras emblem, it's usually a gopuram. The Madras emblem is a gopuram. It signifies one of these temples. So if you see that gopuram, it's supposed to denote that it is Chennai, right? If you ask me what resonates to me more as Chennai, I will say breakfast at Sangeeta, weekly vada, filter coffee is my idea of Chennai. But then I can't ask the government to remove the gopuram and put idli vada there. So the other point is, what everybody ignores and largely takes for granted is the beach. We live on such a fabulous beach, and for the common man, it's a great evening well spent at no cost at all. And like I said, these people go out into the sea, bring back fish, and sell it. Now, if you look at the lives of these, I've spoken to quite many of them. It's always men who do the fishing and the women who do the selling. So among themselves, they have this agreement. They bring the fish back, the women sell it, and I will be astounded as to the kind of accounting system they have where they all split the money end of the day, so many men and so many women. So this is called just another day at the sea. And unfortunately, this is taken for granted, like I said. Now, if you go down to the beach and go around with the mic and ask people, what is this beach called? They'll say Besanagar Beach, Thiruvanmiyur Beach, Palavakam Beach, Nilangare Beach. No, that's not my question. What's the ocean called? 1 out of 10 will say Bay of Bengal. That's how bad we are. The rest won't even know it's called the Bay of Bengal. I've done this. One person said Bangala Kadal, which is fine. But this is how we take our beaches for common. I wish the beach was an emblem of Chennai, but unfortunately, it cannot be as graphic as a gopuram. So we'll stick to the gopuram concept for the moment. Now, this is a sunrise I caught some 7-8 years back. None of you here will actually believe it. This is not photoshopped. I can show the raw image, and the raw image, the original, looks as good as this, right? Now, this is dark, foreboding clouds, must have been early summer. We have sensational sunrises in early summer. March, April is when the sunrises are spectacular, right? Because I'm there every day on the beach. I know. We had dark, foreboding clouds. And what we have here is a kind of an optical illusion. It's like the sun itself looks like an upturned pot, and like the Bay of Bengal is refusing to let the sun come out, surface. holding it back. And it's almost as though the sun pops out at some point, right? This is a spectacular sunrise. It's a 1 in a million shot. I don't think I've ever seen a sun which looked like this. This here is basically an optical illusion. And what could be better? At that point, some fishermen sailed into view, and we had a great picture. And I have sold some prints of this some years back. It brings in little money here and there. This is a fun part of photography. So like I said, this is an original picture, not touched, retouched. People will not believe it, but this is the truth. Okay, now this is another familiar site on our beaches, Marina, Besant Nagar, Thiruvanmiyur. So this is an open air gun gallery. And I shot this picture because of the sheer color behind it. In all my pictures, I always include the human element. I could have well just shot the picture of the balloons, which have been impersonal or inanimate or lifeless. But I waited for this girl. She was working somewhere to the left and she stepped into the frame and I included her in the picture. See, including a human being in any street or travel picture adds scale and brings the picture to life. Now, if we all go to temples and mosques and churches and wherever we go on travel, we take pictures. But most people wait for people to get out of the way and then take a picture. My advice is let people be there. And you take a picture, it doesn't matter. It brings scale. It shows the church steeple so high and it shows a very diminutive human being at the bottom. And it shows a sense of scale and it brings the picture alive. Over here, I remember a little short story. I spoke to this girl and said, "Can I see one of your guns?" She said, "No, you can't, but you can. If you're shooting the balloons, I'm willing to let you take a look at it." So certainly some $10 or something I paid. I picked up one of those air rifles. It's an ancient 177 caliber smooth bore, and they've modified the pellets, and the spring has been weakened sensibly because all you need is enough power to pop a balloon. You don't need the pellet to pierce the sheet and go at the back because the people at the back. So that makes a lot of sense. Then when I picked up the gun and I shouldered it, since I know about guns and firearms, I noticed that the barrel was also bent to the right. So effectively, they do this so that to prevent you from winning a prize. So if I'm aiming at this balloon, I'm actually hitting this balloon here. It's like that. So these little things which people do, but doesn't matter. And I didn't reveal this secret to anybody. So this business still goes on our Thiruvanmiyur beach or any beach wherever you go. This is the Triumph of Labor statue sculpted by a famous Bengali sculptor. Debashish something or the other. If anybody here can correct me, it will help. It was built in the 1930s and erected there. For people who are keen, there is a plaque here which tells you what's what. But then, if you notice here, people are milling around the statue, and many of them don't even appreciate what is happening up there on this pedestal. Now, Triumph of Labor has so much meaning. It means teamwork. It means camaraderie. It means togetherness. It means so much. Which is the reason why the famous sculptor built this. And this was inaugurated on May 1st, sometime in the 30s, which was also International Labor Day. We've all walked past this, but I've actually read this plaque here, and it's quite interesting. It dates back to a golden era. But then people will being people, they simply walk past and ignore what is to be observed. Right, now, this I did some 3-4 years back at the surf club in Kovalam. So I was packing my bags and leaving when this surfer came up to me and said, I'm going out into the sea with my with the national flag and my surfboard. Today is also August 15th. Can you take a picture? I said, I'll be very happy to. So he went out into the, say about 300, 400 yards, and he came back, he caught a wave, and he rode this tunnel of a wave for quite a distance, but you notice here he's actually falling off. So I call this caption in a lighter vein, when the man gained independence from the boat. The next one is, I call this the Ice Age, Rayapuram Fishing Harbor. Now, if you talk of Rayapuram, recently after spate of Tamil movies, Rayapuram, North Madras, rowdies, gundas, this, that. Well, that may be the image people have. So when I went for the first time to Rayapuram Fishing Harbor, I didn't know what to expect. So I went with another friend, and to my utter surprise, I found these fishermen just like us. They are so friendly. One of them took me into a stroller. I went down into the engine room. I went to the bridge where they steer. The bridge is devoid of any instrumentation, zero instruments. It's except for one walkie-talkie, which they can converse with other ships, other trawlers, and with the harbor, right? And these blocks, they chop it into pieces. Now, each block, they should be about 4 feet by 1.5 feet by, say, with 2.5 feet or whatever. They chop it into halves and they load it into the hold. As I was talking to this man, he said when they set out for deep sea fishing in a trawler, it's at least 3 weeks away from home. So they carry enough rations, food, and enough ice. So whatever is caught is immediately frozen. And they don't have a reefer, or they don't have a cold storage as in a cold storage plant. This is what they make do with. This is what they make do and stick it in there. And to take this picture, I got into the ice cubes myself. Well within the ice cubes, I crouched low. I could see the mist rising because of the temperature exchange between warm air and cold, and the ice block temperature mist rising. I shot a few pictures. So Rayapuram Fishing Harbor, my friends, is a definite tourist spot. I mean, if you go there, these guys are so very friendly. If you go as a small group, they'll take you on board. I have also gone on a trawler, deep sea, 35 kilometers onto what is known as the pelagic bird watching expedition. Pelagic means birds, marine birds, which rarely come to land. So 30 kilometers from here, if you sail out due east, you will find birds like skuas and birds like that, which you see in South Africa, you see in places like that. They come here. And on one glorious occasion, I went with them. It probably calls for a slideshow for another evening. I saw, believe it or not, 800 to 1,000 dolphins. They were pockmarked everywhere we could see dolphins. They would come to the left of the boat, they'll swim underneath, and they'll surface to the right side of the boat. Got to a point, we were sick of seeing dolphins. Anyway, that dolphin story is another story for another day. This is called Ice Age and at the Rayapuram Fishing Harbor. These are very familiar sights on our beaches. It is people come to have a good time here. It's fresh air, doesn't cost anything. You have your patani sundal and so on and so forth, and in the evening well spent, especially in the oppressive summer months. So I keep an eye open for something, always for the unusual. So it's a question of waiting near a scene and waiting to see something would happen or not. Believe it or not, something will happen most of the time. So I actually zeroed in on these little girls. They're having a good time. They've stuck their feet into the water and generally chit-chatting. From nowhere, this boy rides up in his horse. This horse is something which he rents out for joy rides. So the caption for this picture, the gallant Sir Galahad rides up in his steed, but the ladies, except for one, don't give a damn. Right. This is one of those evils which we are forced to reckon with every year. Thankfully, this year the government has banned Ganesha immersion into the ocean. I went there as a skeptic 4 years back. I wanted to know what this immersion was all about. So I went to Palavakkam Beach. There were thousands and thousands of people and truckloads of these people coming, and there are cops galore. Don't get me wrong, in the middle of the crowd, you stood there and took a deep breath. You could smell Tasmac immediately. And there was zero religious fervor here or feeling. It's a question of dumping all these idols into the sea and go. That's it. There was nothing religious at all. Now, these idols I know are made of paper mache, and they get absorbed by biodegradable, they get absorbed by the ocean. And what holds them together is cane framework or a chassis. But this paint which they use, I'm willing to bet it is toxic. And people have been objecting. I think there were some legislations, but then if you had to buy biodegradable paint or green paint, I'm sure that is far more expensive, or as I say, but toxic paint is used for this. And this picture was exhibited at the Chennai Photo Biennale in 2018. And the crowd I was getting hypertension standing there just watching the size of the crowd, and I had to go, and I couldn't find an escape path. And to my left, there was no commotion. The cops and somebody getting beaten up and this kind of thing. What was it? One chain snatcher. So he also had come here to make business, run his business. So this was my first ever Ganesha immersion and my last ever immersion. This is I call this cholam, roasted cholam, corn on the cob. If you go to the Besanagar beach, if you stand outside in front of Schmidt Memorial, you can, there is a mound of earth which from sea level, I should put it some 20-25 feet. It gives you one elevated view of the beach. So this was late at night. I set up my tripod and I was watching this man at work. What we see here is of course, the waves of the Bay of Bengal. And where is this light coming from? From the full moon day. It was a full moon day. And I found the sparks flying quite interesting to make it a very graphic image. So photography is a lot about seeing, not about shooting. You should see, you should be able to, or train yourself to see a potential image happening before you. And then your inner voice tells your mind, hey, that will make a good picture. And then you shoot. It should not be click, 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 click at everything you go. Serious photography. Yes, when I was born, I was not born a photographer. I also went the same route. But then I realized serious photography is actually waiting and watching and composing a picture well before shooting, right? So that's one of the key aspects in photography. Here we are, here's Cholam here, and this lady makes this every evening. This is roasted cholam. She's got this hand winder, which pumps in compressed air into this stove, and the flames kick off. And then she makes this and sells this to you. And she's taking a time off in between customers. Maybe she's watching Netflix. I don't know what. But this I found it interesting because she is framed by her own little shop, right? So these are the things which catch my eye. Natural composition. I didn't ask her to sit like that. She was sitting down there. So I rearranged myself to make sure that she gets into the frame and took this picture with the waves at the back. So photography is a lot to do with composition. Most of the time it's composition. Yes, there are times when you can't compose a picture. If you're going into, say, Jim Cobb at National Park and a male tiger steps in front of you, you can't compose a picture. You're stuck in a jeep, there's a tiger there, you better shoot. And what you get is what you shoot is what you get. Now you can't ask the tiger to move itself or whatever. But in static situations like this, especially travel and street photography, incidentally, when I say travel, I've culled together these images which are purely Madras based. I've got thousands from all over the world to all over India, but that's a story for another day. So it is culling together pictures which they say a good picture does not need a caption. Agreed. Sometimes you do need a caption. They used to say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Agreed. Sometimes I put it the other way around. 1,000 words is worth a picture. For example, this is worth 1,000 words. There's so many things happening here. How much you read into it. So observation is key in street photography. This is taken from my terrace last November. This is Cyclone Nivar. It was around 4 o'clock in the evening. This is a very angry Bay of Bengal. Protesting because it's being held back by the shore, but really wants to come in, and the cyclone is pushing it in indoors, towards the shore. So I did a few frames before it was raining. I am waterproof, my camera is not waterproof, so I had to take shelter before something ruined. And here are these youngsters who are quite foolhardy. Well, it's part of the fun, I suppose. I suppose we all did it. But in a few minutes later, cops came here and chased these boys away. And Cyclone Nivar crossed land early morning at 3 o'clock between Chennai and Pondi, somewhere at Markanam, if I remember right. This is a wonderful initiative started by the Hindu some time back called Car Free Sunday. I call it Carefree Sunday, where it's a really beautiful an effort worth appreciating, because they shut down the traffic completely and they open this up to so many things for family events, for children, for walkers, and without having to be look left and right for traffic. So Car Free Sunday, Carefree Sunday, same thing happens in Pondi on the promenade. So I call it either way, and I've got a lot of pictures taken during this. I highlighted this simply because I found some geometry on these lampposts. They're all and converging lines. They are converging towards the Ellington Church. Of course, the icing on the cake is always these birds. Now, these pigeons, much as I detest them, because they ruin everything around the building, in many of my pictures, they do cameo roles, and I can't help but include them in the images. Right, now, this is our Mulaga Bhaji. I asked this for quite a few people. Let me throw this around to see how many people know. What does this chili called in English? Anybody can answer? Okay, I guess you're all on mute. This is called banana pepper, right? And this is actually something which you can bite into. It's not so spicy as the standard green chili. This is a banana pepper, and this is a red hot snack made down the end of our road. And I was very lucky. I was only looking at this garland of molagas against the stone wall. It was pure serendipity that her sari matches the color of this thing, which is fine. I'm pure lucky. But what also attracted me, the dirty looks that she's giving me. She probably didn't like being photographed. But in always these situations, when people ask me, are you from the press? I said, no, I'm not from that. It's purely my hobby. Or they ask me, why did you take my picture? I said, look, it's for my personal hobby. I'm not going to do anything about it. Show them the picture. Do you want this or shall I delete it? Usually they say, no, doesn't matter, keep it. The few say, can you send me a photo? Of course, give me a mobile number, smart WhatsApp, picture's gone. In certain cases where there were people who are so poor who didn't even have phones, I have made 8x10 prints and gone back to that place and to give it to them. Right, and this gesture goes such a long way. But this is one of the occupational hazards of street photography, as they call it. Sooner or later, somebody is going to give you dirty looks or protest. But of late, because of my age, people think he is a senior citizen. There's not much damage he can do with taking my photo. Let him do what he wants. So I seem to get away with that. Right, here we are in the Marina Beach. I found, this is about 4 years back, I found this young boxer sparring. So I was watching them, taking some pictures, and I stopped them in mid-fight and said, look, let's make this interesting. I will lie down on the road. You guys fight over me. And these boys were only happy to do it. So I lay down on the ground, attached a wide-angle lens, and fired away. I must have shot for 40, 50 frames. And I like this simply because, again, yes, those pigeons are making a grand appearance here. Otherwise, the rest of the pictures are all bland. But in a lighter sense, I have another picture where this boxer in blue is actually landing a left punch on this man's face, and I can see him grimacing, except he has moved much closer into the frame and I can see right up his trousers. So I thought that's not a politically right picture to share on public media, on a social media, and I decided to use this one. Here's one more at our beach, and again those irritating pigeons, but I can't help it. They add so much drama to the skies. This is a shore temple on our beach, and there is a certain community who come here and feeds these pigeons. The pigeons are becoming fatter and fatter and fatter. And once in a while, they do these aerial sorties around the temple and I wait for moments like this. See, this is like a studio. The sea is there, the sun is there, the sky is there, the studio is there, this plant is there. I need some life. So these birds usually feed here. This white stuff is rice. So every few minutes of something's alerts them and they take off for 3-4 sorties around the temple. So that is my cue to start taking pictures. Here we are, Deepavali 2018. Now, this is what Deepavali looks like from my terrace looking north. Now, there is a certain technique which I applied in shooting this. I shall share the technique for those who are interested. Now, this is not a handheld shot. I need the sturdiest tripod available. So I parked it on the terrace and set up my camera with a normal 50 mm lens and pointed the camera all settings totally manual, no automation at all. So I needed to have control over the image and pointed the camera at where the maximum fireworks was happening. Right now, this I keep the shutter, as some of you may know, the shutter has got what is called a bulb setting. Even modern day digital SLRs have a bulb setting where as long as you keep the shutter button pressed, the shutter is open. So you can't afford to risk that kind of a shot without a tripod. So I have a very heavy Manfrotto tripod. And with that, I must have made about, say, 7 or 8 exposures. Each time the shutter was open for about 8 minutes. So what is static here? The buildings are all static. This is all static, nothing, no movement here. Maybe the odd tree here, the leaf is shaking, but it doesn't matter, right? But where is the dynamic action happening? All these fireworks popping up in the air. And when they burst, when they come out of the start trail, remember the shutter is constantly open and the sensors recording whatever happens. It's like a movie, except it's all shot on one frame. So I must have done 7, 8 of these pictures. Each picture is about 8 minutes long. Come back home, edit and select which is the best. And this one is a clear winner. Now I have many more like this. It was very difficult choosing the best Deepavali picture here, but this is one of my favorites. And here I have to say, as a family, we stopped celebrating Deepavali, I should say 20 years back, when our son was say 10 or so. He came up and said, Dad, Mom, I don't want crackers this year. Noise pollution, air pollution, and so on. And we stopped buying crackers. So every year I go up to my terrace and I have this sadistic grin on my face when I shoot these pictures and to see other people's money go up in smoke. Right. Now, this is Holi. Of course, it's at Holi. You'll be wondering what is really happening here. Now, this picture definitely needs a caption. Otherwise, your eyes are all over the picture. You want to know what is happening here. Now, the background, some of you may have been into the College of Fine Arts in Veperi, Punamalai High Road. These are sculptures made by the students themselves. Here's a very interesting, there's 2 students discussing an artwork. This was probably began life as a photo and sculpted. Here's a young girl in deep thought, and there are many such statues in there. It is open to public. By all means, go there and have a look. It's a wonderful place, and they have a permanent museum of artwork there. And as always, I could have just taken these statues, which was not interesting. So this youngster who had got tired of playing Holi came and sat there. I asked him, is it okay if I take a picture? He said, sure, sir. So took this picture. So basically it is a color picture with black and white. You know, these are all black and color picture. So to me, I found this an interesting picture. Like I said, if you wait for these statues, something to happen, the statues will not go anywhere. They'll be like that for the next 100 years. You have to wait for someone to come and sit there. I did not invite this youngster. He just came there and plunked. He was so tired playing Holi. And this makes a very picture with great impact. Here's one more of those pigeons. The Schmidt Memorial in Besant Nagar. You have more pigeons in Besant Nagar, probably even more in the marina opposite the Vivekananda House. There are people from particular community who come and feed the pigeons in fervent prayer. Now here is these pigeons up in the air, and this picture was blown 36 by 44 as a print was exhibited at one of those overhead rail stations in Kodambakkam. It remained there for some months as a permanent art exhibit along with others, and eventually brought it back. Here we are, Kannagi Nagar. Now, some of you may have known of Kannagi Nagar, some of you may have not known of Kannagi Nagar. This was a colony built some 10 years back because of mass eviction along the Coombe and the Buckingham of slum dwellers. The government decided to acquire a huge piece of property of OMR where they built these tenements where these people have now, from thatched roofs, they have proper housing. So City Connect is another company you keep reading about. They're tied up with the Madras municipality. City Connect is comes up with various programs for city beautification. So this was one of the finest. Pondi Bazaar Plaza was done by City Connect. So that is an example. So this Kannagi Nagar also was an example where people, they did up these monuments or these artwork on these walls and brought these tenements actual to life. 3 cheers full of admiration to City Connect. And here's a little boy fooling around, playing around. See, otherwise they would all be playing in the banks of the Coombe or the Buckingham, but now they have homes, right? Here's one more at Kannagi Nagar, and obviously this is shut, but here is a food stall which is free. Somebody, a good Samaritan, giving free food to people. Let's move on. This is a repair shop, a radio repair shop in Thiruvanmiyur. I found this hugely amusing. I went there to get something fixed, and the man said he couldn't fix it. I had to take it somewhere else. And I stood there watching him. Then I always travel with my Fuji camera. I have my mobile phone, yes, but my Fuji is a very faithfully reproduces what I see. So I noticed this man was just standing outside the shop. He lives in so much clutter. It's surprising what he finds. If he's able to find anything that he wants to find in a hurry. He has no way to get to the shop. The shop itself is the size of a cupboard. To get into the shop, he has to climb over this showcase and sit. And he doesn't even have space for a stool. Where there could have been a stool, he's kept 2 radios there. So he sits on top of 2 radios. Every inch of space he uses. And he'll fix old radios, old tape recorders. He'll cannibalize from this set, from that set, give you something. And I'm happy to see that there is actually a business like this functioning. In today's world of use and throw, there's actually somebody here doing this for you. Right. I have a series which I'm not going to show now, otherwise on the selfie syndrome. Here is this individual who has taken selfie syndrome to a completely another level. Usually people take selfies with other people. Here he is doing selfies with some cardboard cutouts. This is where street photography or an eye photography, observant eye comes in. So I'm always watching all this. Like I said, this whole scene, I was very awestruck, the X-Men, so on and so forth. And like before you could say Jack Robinson, here comes this mister and he's taking a selfie with these cutouts. Right. I hope we are keeping good time. Besant Nagar, Elliott's Beach Road. I was driving past on the opposite side of the road when I saw the scene. The young man, he's browsing, and behind him, he's oblivious to the background behind. This young couple romancing each other. Then there's a statue here holding up a cup of coffee. This is a coffee shop. So I saw this and said, hey, this will make a good picture. I drove to the end of the road, took a U-turn near Velagani Church, came back, found a nice parking spot and walked up to this place. This man hadn't taken his eyes off the phone, right? It shows how much we are enslaved, how much we are victims of this smartphone. I stood there taking pictures. He didn't notice me. He didn't know I was taking pictures. Of course, this is a candid. I mean, I don't have to tell him I took a picture. There's no reason for it. I got into my car and went away. And by the time I reached Thiruvanmiyur, I was certain he would have been doing the same thing. This one I call the chairman. On the Kelambakam Road, I drove past the scene, and with a friend, I told my friend, I said, listen, there's a nice scene behind us which I missed. drive for a kilometer and stop. That rider will come back. And I'll take him again from the back. Sure enough, the rider came, overtook us and went. I shot with a 300mm lens. I call this chairman. It's a balancing act that he's doing. It's just not only chairs. Now, as he rode past, I noticed his wife was also sitting in front of him on the moped. So this is indeed testing the center of gravity, or whatever you call it. So this has won me some awards in some competitions here and there. The chairman. I think I've done this. This is in Thiruvanmiyur. There is a colony where there are the Narikoraba, the gypsy community are being housed, and I walked in there one day and made friends with some of them, and they started taking pictures. This one is my favorite. It just shows these people live in such sordid backgrounds. I mean, take a look at this house, this is where they live, but they're all enjoying themselves. They are so full of laughter. I don't know when I laughed like this before. They're enjoying themselves. Also, the ladies in this forum will take note. They are so demurely dressed. They're wearing a shirt and pavada and a dupatta draped across and pinned somewhere here across their shoulder. Why this has not become an international fashion scene, I don't know. But this is so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Just full-blooded, wholesome laughter. This is one of those situations. I made 3 copies, 8x10, went back, and I found a village elder there. He managed to trace one of these girls. I gave those prints as a token gesture. Right, now this is going to take some storytelling. This I call, I'm almost towards the end of my show, so not worry, I won't take up your time, but this has a very deep story to it. I call this home theater on wheels. I was driving towards Salem. Again, I was not driving, I was passenger. My friend was driving, and we drove past the scene. I was telling my friend Suresh, look, that looks like a home theater on wheels. Then it struck me, let me do a picture. So we drove about 2 kilometers down the road. We parked. I got out of the car, and as this bike went past, I shot this picture. It's 5.1 surround sound system on 2 wheels, or home theater on 2 wheels, or whatever. And then I got back into the car and we started driving. We drove for about half an hour and stopped at a highway motel for breakfast. Must have been 8 o'clock. Got out of the car, I stretched and all that, drank some water. I was looking for my wallet. I did not find my wallet with me. I was reasonably sure, I was 1000% sure it was on my lap ever since, because my wallet was this thick. I find it difficult sitting on it. It's a bad habit. I usually take it and put it on my lap. I kept it on my lap. And when I got out to take this picture, the wallet has most likely fallen onto the road. I went berserk, my blood ran cold. I didn't know what to do. I was in panic station. Then I didn't know I had dropped it there, but I was reasonably sure I had dropped it back there. Imagine going back there. Somebody would have flicked it by now. So I lost immediately. My friend suggested, I called HDFC, blocked my cards. We went in for breakfast, and very sullen, disappointed with the long face. I had something to eat. I didn't feel like eating. My friends were trying to cheer me up. I had about 3,000 rupees in that wallet, and about, say, I have a copy of my driver's license. Yes, a couple of credit cards, which I had blocked. So in effect, I was safe. But how could I ever be so stupid and get out of the car in a hurry and drop it on the road? So I went to wash my hands. I washed my hands, I was rinsing it. Again, looking terrible. When my phone rang, ladies and gentlemen, my phone rang, and the caller asked on the other side, Mr. Raghavan. I said, yes, Ama Nanda. My blood ran cold. I said, yes, sir. The man said, where did you drop it? Enga tolcheng, sir. Irukum sir, ingendo or 30 kilometers munadi or இடத்துல நிறுத்தணும். அங்க கீழே இந்த வண்டியை விட்டு எதுக்கோ இறங்கினோம், கீழே விழுந்திருக்கும். என்ன கலர் சார் உங்க பர்ஸ்? பிரவுன் கலர். எவ்வளவு காசு சார் இருக்குதுல? ஒரு 3000 ரூபாய் இருக்கும் சார். சரி, நீங்க எங்க இருக்கீங்க இப்போ? I am at so and so highway motel. நீங்க யார் சார்? நான் லாரி டிரைவர். Everything is safe. நான் வரேன். Wait for me for half an hour. So we waited outside. I was back to feeling elated again. I was telling myself, oh man, this is what humanity is all about. We have good people and we have bad people. We're always talking about bad people. Here's a good good person who's actually found my wallet. And half an hour became 1 hour. And the man drove up in his empty truck trailer and returned my wallet to me intact. He did not accept even 1 rupee from me, right? But finally, my friend gave him some money and said, this is not for you, this is for your children. Man finally accepted. But here is the end of the story. This happened on Vinayaka Chaturthi day, 2014. And the driver's name was Ganesh. I don't know if I am to believe in this, but good fortune smiled from somewhere. And my wallet came back to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I still have the same wallet with me. And I am still in touch with Ganeshan. Every 3-4 months, we call. He's from Tengasi, from near the Kutralam area. We call, we exchange short notes on 100% on Vinayaka Chaturthi day. We call a talk. Last year, during the pandemic, he was not running his truck trailer. He had no money. So he called me. So with a few of my friends, we collected about 9,000 to 10,000 rupees and sent it to Ganeshan. Right. We move on. Here is a nice scene. It's a Patashala somewhere in Mylapore. I shot this picture simply because of this something overall yellow about it. It's the color scheme which hit me first. And there's a morning light coming in from this side, early morning light, and people are chanting slokas. Here's a little mischievous fellow. He's cracking jokes to his friend. In all, it tells a nice picture. And this is somewhere in Mylapore. This one is called, I call this Vastu with a vengeance. Whoever thought of this Vastu business in 15 years back, I'm sure he's a very rich man by now. This is a house in Tiruvanmiyur, painted in just about the brightest pinks and yellows you can see. Now, no evil spirit, no self-respecting evil spirit will ever dare come near this building because of these colors. But that I used to drive past this building every other day. And one day I said, I'm going to stop here and take a picture. And to my luck, there was one pista green car parked here. And sure enough, like I always do, I wait for see, the building is static, the car is static. I waited for someone to cross. This lady crossed. I took her picture. In Mylapore again, I call this 3 generations. This is called Eye for Detail. A little girl playing with her balloons. And here's an elderly lady sitting here. That's a shadow. That's the lady here in the sari. And someone in between over here. It's 3 generations in one frame. I did not set it up. This is all happening there. It's a question of observing, waiting, and then shooting at an instant. Now, maybe a split second later, this girl would have got out of frame. But she's here with her balloons, right? And it adds so much color and drama to this picture, right? This is, I call this Bubbles. It was in our old office in Palavakkam. We were run a after-school activity center. Little boy was blowing soap bubbles. In photographic terms, is called backlighting or fringe lighting. When the light coming from the back is the ideal light for photography. It can make really flattering portraits. So he was blowing balloons in here. Bubbles. But later on, when I enlarged it, this eventually became a 30 by 36 print. And each one of these bubbles reflects the building, our office building. See, you can see this here. This is pure luck. I never expected this to happen. So this one I called Bubbles. So these are all the fringe benefits you get from photography. There's something or the other which surprises you, which creeps into the picture. This one takes some storytelling as well. This is one of my favorite pictures. It's a 1 in a zillion photo. I was traveling on the double-decker to Bangalore, halfway there, I suppose, and the entire compartment had fallen asleep. The lady in front had fallen asleep. And to my surprise, I found the overhead rack was all made of reflective perspex sheets. And everyone sleeping there is reflected. So for fun, I turned this picture around this way, and each is a perfectly recognizable face. Now I can do this trip again and again and again, but I don't know if I'll ever get a situation like this where I find all ladies along the window and all sleeping at the same time. So this is a 1 in a zillion image. This is lightning over the Bay of Bengal. It's the same technique I applied for the Deepavali picture. It's a question of setting up a heavy tripod on your camera and pointing for pre-focusing and pointing your camera where all the lightning action is happening. Then you open up the shutter, say 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't remember the settings here. Sooner or later, you are going to find all these things happening. For example, this could be a lightning peal. This could be a lightning strike. This could be one. This could be one. This could be one. But they're all sandwiched on the same frame. It's a very simple technique, and it's an age-old technique people have been using from the film days, right? Except today, you can instantly see what is done. That's a wonderful thing about digital photography. We move on. This is tapioca chips. I was looking at this one day with tapioca chips piled up right at the top. Then, of course, this brick stone background, and something went on. I kept staring at this. Sure, I did not notice a man. He was down underneath his one day doing something. Suddenly, he stood up. Picture came to life. I shot. Now, can you imagine the same picture, just the wall and the chips? No, man, no. It won't work at all. The human being adds a lot of human element and scale and drama to the picture. This is yet again one of the long exposures I've been just talking about on OMR. One of these IT companies has built a pedestrian bridge at their own cost, which bisects the OMR here. And so people getting off from the Tiruvanmiyur station need not come down at all. They can walk along this elevated walkway, cross over into the IT building. This is again a sturdy tripod. I set it up and did it one night. Chennai floods, Palavakkam playground. You can easily have 4 to 5 cricket matches or 10 football matches happening at the same time. Such a vast playground. It turned into a public swimming pool and waist deep water. And here are these boys having a wonderful time here. This is boyhood. How nice it is to be would be for all of us to be children again. I always wonder. I call this Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from the old Beatles album. These musicians are preparing either for a temple festival or a funeral. I don't know. But what they do essentially, these drums are all made of wood and rawhide leather covering or skins. And leather is very easily affected by humidity and changes in temperature. So they heat it up on a bonfire with waste plastic, and they keep tapping on it till they get the perfect tone, and they're all set to perform. I call this one near my house again, Tiruvanmiyur Beach. I call this one diabetes. Then here I shot this in Kovalam. This is the entire potato chips factory, godown, warehouse, retail, door delivery, Swiggy, Zomato, all on 2 wheels. How this man balances this, I don't know. Sometime back, a friend went to Kovalam and he said the same man is running the scooter there. He drives around with this huge drum morning to evening. I suppose the drum gets emptied in the evening. This is at one of those impersonal malls. So many malls have sprung up of late in the past 10, 15 years. Usually as a family, we go there, we do a lot of window shopping and go to the 4th floor to eat. So I don't remember buying anything in any mall. Eventually it becomes you spend time window shopping and browsing. How much is this? How much is that? Remember the old adage, if you have to ask a price of something, it usually means you can't afford it. So that was the thing. How much is that? 8,000 rupees. So forget it, keep it. So we do this, and by 8 o'clock, we're hungry. We go to the 4th floor, food court, have dinner, and come down. So from one of those atriums, I was looking down, I saw the scene. In photographic terms, it's called the rule of thirds. When you compose through the viewfinder, if the subject is static, you are meant to divide the frame into 9 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And what is the key subject you're meant to position in either any one of these rectangles. Need not be in the center. Center is boring. You can move this to one corner, here, there. So this is called rule of the thirds. This also was exhibited at a gallery. Right, this is team building, Chemmori Punga, which was erstwhile drive-in theater, drive-in Woodlands. I found the scene. There's a young lady talking to her team, whatever they are. And I noticed that the boys all had the uniform, hand on cheek and on elbow expression. This is obviously the team leader, and they were completely oblivious to me. I could have shot just this much. No, I composed it in such a way to get all this greenery, because Chemmori Punga is a green lung for the city, one among a few green lungs. So I composed this so that we have people here, and under these trees, remember, we are breathing clean, clear oxygen. Here we are, Sir Thomas Munro statue at night. My father used to tell me an old joke when apparently a boy and his father were walking down this road, and the father told the boy, Thomas Munro. So the boy asked, Appa, the Thomas Munro mele ukandirukane, andal per enna? The boy thought Thomas Munro was the horse. So the very age-old joke I'm sharing, most of you would have heard it, but the more I tell people, it's quite funny. I am towards the end of my shows, ladies and gentlemen. This is at Pallikarnai, not Pallikarnai, Perumbakam Marsh. The greater flamingos come and they feed here. They do not breed here. They fly back to the Run of Kutch in Gujarat for breeding. They only feed here. They go to Kutch, they lay eggs, they bring their families, they come with full-fledged chicks. They come all the way here for feeding, and they go back to the Run of Kutch in Gujarat. So these are the greater flamingos. I composed deliberately so that to get these lines in the foreground. Now you may want to know what these lines are. These are actually the lines of the buildings at the back, reflected in the water, as you may see here. So this is exactly what you will be seeing. With a telephoto lens, you can see only this much. So what I did was cut the picture over here and made it a graphic image, flamingos, and the buildings at the back. Remember, these buildings are situated, which was once pristine wetland, pristine bird habitat, but human greed is so much, we sold all these lands. Sold as in, I sold, if you know what I mean. Today you can buy everything as a price on a set. You can sell anything you want. And it was sold, and people live there. I have some friends who live here too in one of these buildings, who watch all these birds from the comfort of their veranda. This brings me to the end of today's session. We made good time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the show. Looking forward to doing something else to you again whenever the opportune moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raghavan. We were just, stuck with the moving pictures that you just presented. Full of color. One thing is that, you like bright colors, I think. It's full of color, full of life. Thanks a lot. And we can take a few questions, dear Southerners.
Before, when you said color, sir, the old adage among in photography is color distracts. Black and white retains the soul of the image. If you do the same picture in color and black and white, you will find yourself looking at the black and white picture more, because you tend to look deeper into it. Whereas the color picture has got greens and blues and actually distract. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can take a few questions. Any of the photo enthusiasts?
Yeah.
Yeah, Madhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Madhu.
Yeah. You haven't shot many pictures of women. Women are one of the great inspirational themes of photography, art, and so on.
I didn't really get your question, sir.
There aren't many photographs of women
in my collection.
Yeah.
Okay. It is perhaps because I have narrowed it down to a Chennai Madras presentation. Some of the women may have got eliminated, but if you look at some pictures down in Europe or on my travels, there are women everywhere. Now, if you want to know, there is also photography for some odd reason, for some strange reason, for some unexplained reason, it's a bastion of the male. It's always, the photographer is always a male. The top photographers in the world are always male. There are a handful of women photographers, Sarah Moon, Dietrich, and people like that who have made it to the top. But I cannot explain why. It is always the male who's doing the photographing, because this is an art form, and by all means, women can pick it up. You don't have to spend much money as well. You can start with your cell phone and grow from there.
Jawahar, you got a question? Jawahar there? Did you have a question,
Good
Jawahar?
evening, Mr.
Good evening.
Raghavan. It was a
Good evening.
very enthralling speech, and we all were totally, stuck with the. Normally in the meeting we look here and there, but today with your very enthralling speech, and I would say a very amateur photographer. I've got a Canon SLR, so maybe I really admire your pictures,
Thank you.
and you explained very well the way you took your pictures also.
Thank you very
Maybe
much.
I have some more queries. Maybe I'll talk to you personally.
By all
And
means, sir.
how I can improve my photography.
By all means, Mr.
Yeah, thank you.
Madhu
so
has
much.
my number, and please get in touch.
Sure.
Friends, if there are no questions, I would request Magdoum to propose the word of thanks.
Thank you, President Ranjit. And I'd like to thank Mr. Raghavan for taking his time off and talking to us today. And we all completely enjoyed your presentation, your pictures. The kind of frames that we had, awesome. It was perfectly on the frame. It shows how passionate you are about Chennai city. And I also find that you have love for our beaches. Majority of the collections had something, either the Bessener or Marina, the beaches. We all enjoyed it, and we also loved your tongue-in-cheek humor. I wish we had a physical meeting where we all laughed it out. Then so we enjoyed it, and I'm sure you are all this perfect Chennai. Because Chennai people love to show their love for the city. And then we talked about it last week, what makes Chennai and other cities very unique. And then I see you a perfect Chennai. You're born here, brought up here, and then you reflected exactly that. So thank you very much for talking to us today.
Pleasure is mine.
And you have a very nice way of storytelling. Not only your picture composition, the way you present it. Fantastic photojournalist, I would say. We like
Yes,
it.
sir. Thank you so much.
Before the meeting started, you said, about equipment and etc. You said you must you said when somebody said, no, you are a good writer. You must be a good typewriter. But here exactly, you are a good photographer because you have a beautiful visual sense. That's what we say. So not your equipment, but your visual sense really that made all the difference. We enjoyed it. I wish we had a physical meeting where we would have interacted much more. And thank you for taking the time out and then spending the time with us. And we enjoyed your company. I hope you do the same.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you, Madhu, especially to you for bringing this Chennai special this month. And then we can look forward to further Chennai weeks this month. Okay, thank you all, and back to you, Ranjit.
Thank you. This meeting of the Rotary Club of Madras South is adjourned. Thank you, sir, once again. And
Thank you all, my friends.
Bye,
Thank you.
bye, all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raghavan.